sack the entire Prasa board and hand over passenger rail to metros. That's the plea from commuter activist group Unite Behind to President Matamela Ramaphosa. They've also given Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula and the President until mid-February to meet their demands. Previously, the city of Cape Town had asked government to hand over passenger rail to the metro. The Gauteng provincial government also wishes to take over from the crisis-riddled commuter rail agency. But it seems government is not willing to budge. Let's discuss this further now with Unite Behind's legal officer, Joe Mayson. Joe, good afternoon. Welcome to today, and thank you very much for your time. Can we start with Prasa first? Just begin with Prasa in terms of what you're demanding. You want the current minister to dissolve the current Prasa board and appoint a competent new board, and also Prasa to be placed under judicial management or business rescue. That sounds very drastic. Why?
Well, there's a drastic situation. It's a dire situation. At the moment, there's a 97% reduction in passenger numbers since 2009. Of 40 lines, only 18 are running at the moment. Of 590 stations, only 134 are functional, and that's just in the metros. It's even worse for long-distance travel. There's a 99.5% decrease in passenger numbers, and from 21 routes in 2009, it's now dropped to 4 routes running. So, it's a terrible situation for passengers, for commuters, often the most poor and working class in South Africa. And the board, we feel, is mostly responsible. They've been behind the corruption and maladministration that's been rife at Prasa. They've approved and instigated unlawful settlements worth billions of rands and related to crucial security and infrastructure upgrades. And we feel that they're delinquent directors and need to be taken out, and competent professionals need to be put in place.
Okay. Another issue that you've zoomed in on is that whole Siangena matter, where there's been allegations of corruption, and you are calling for independent engineers to be appointed.
Correct, yeah. We don't have faith that Prasa and Siangena will appoint sufficiently independent engineers, so we want them to appoint some independent engineers to come in and judge how much Siangena needs to pay back as part of the court settlement. We believe that these sorts of problems that are going on in Prasa can be solved through the removal of the board, but also, as you said, through putting it under business rescue. It's currently not a going concern. Their revenue is 344 million last year versus 1.2 billion in 2008. They're using their capital subsidies to fund their operational expenses. And as the CEO has said, the business cannot be sustained. They're pushing themselves deeper and deeper into debt. And that's a quote from him.
Okay.
And the last... Carry on, sorry.
Yeah, so, and the last thing, you can carry on.
We saw the minister recently trying to walk back policy decisions to devolve Prasa to allow competent metros to take over.
Yeah, I was gonna come to that, Joe. That's going to be the final point I want to discuss with you. This devolution that you are calling for commuter rail to local authorities, you said it's allowed in terms of policy, but the government seems to be backsliding on it.
It's actually been in white papers since 1996. I was 3 years old, and still haven't seen it happen. Gauteng and the city of Cape Town are capable of taking on Prasa, the role of Prasa. The city of Cape Town has tried to engage the minister many times last year. He's just been silent. He hasn't replied to any of the emails. And if they don't do this, then we have the go-ahead from our supporters and our funders to apply to the court to put Prasa under a special officer of the court in order to have these matters taken forward.
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering.
Well,
being in a white paper, does it make it effective?
Sure. It's also in the Constitution. It's also in the National Land Transport Act. I don't think we have time to go through all of the legal arguments, yes. But it's more than allowed. In fact, it should have happened years ago, and legally, the situation is untenable.
Do you know have you had any word at all from Fikile Mbalula's department about their devolution strategy?
First they said it would happen by the end of this year. Before that, it was supposed to happen, next year, then the next year, then the next year. Now they're saying that it might only happen, they might only have a devolution strategy out in 2024. Who knows how long after that it'll actually come through. So we need this to happen now. The City of Cape Town is taking steps. They're evaluating how this could happen, how it would happen in the best way. And we believe once that's done, devolution should follow almost immediately.
Okay, now if nothing happens by the 14th of February, that's your deadline that you've set to the presidency and to the Ministry of Transport, you're going to be heading to court.
Yeah, we might send them a love letter or two.